Welcome to the Handmade Way. Today we're diving into a batch of caramelised onion chutney, an absolute game changer for burgers, steaks, sausages and, most importantly, cheese. Glorious, glorious cheese. I first made this after accidentally growing a ridiculous amount of onions in the garden last year and thinking, what on earth am I going to do with all of these? Now, full honesty, this particular batch isn't from the garden. Mine this year are still in the ground doing their thing, but the garlic is, so I'm counting this as homegrown, right? A full list of ingredients is pinned in the comments and down in the description, so check that out before you get chopping. First up, we need to slice 3 kilos of red onions. Now, that sounds simple, it's not. Normally, I draft in the wife and kids for this job, but today they're conveniently busy, so it's just me and these onions are out for revenge. Oh, these onions are fighting back.
Are you crying?
No, my eyes are bleeding. Eventually, after a tearful battle, the onions were defeated, honourably, and composted. Now, if you ever wondered what 3 kilos of sliced onions looks like, well, it's a lot. Like, why did I do this amount a lot? You're going to need a big bowl and an even bigger pan. I'm using a basic stock pot I picked up from Asda. It does the job. I'll try and find a link and drop it in the description for you if you're in the market for one. I like to toss in the onions first and then pour over about 6 tablespoons of olive oil to coat everything nicely. I know Popeye would be furious. Stick the heat on low and just let them do their thing. There's no set time really, just stir occasionally and let them cook down until they're soft, translucent and they've reduced by about half. We're not crisping or browning here, we're going for soft and jammy, like an onion spa day. While the onions are bubbling away and softening up, I like to use the time to prep the rest of the ingredients, starting with the 600 grams of muscovado sugar. Now, I didn't quite have enough, so I'm topping it up with 150 grams of regular brown sugar. That's totally fine. There's enough muscovado in here to give it that deep flavour and rich colour. All the rest of the sugar is just there to make sure there's enough sugar in the mix to make sure it doesn't grow arms and legs in the cupboard later. Muscovado does tend to be really clumpy, so I like to break it up a bit now. It makes things easier when we're then adding it into the mix later. Next, we're going to mix together 400 ml of red wine vinegar with 6 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You can experiment with other vinegars here, but I haven't gone off script with this yet personally, so I can't say how it will change the flavour. If you do tweak it, drop your results in the comments, and while you're down there, do give this video a like and maybe even a subscribe. So back to the onions, they've now reduced beautifully. They're soft, sweet and kind of a pink looking colour. I'm sure there's an innuendo in there somewhere, but honestly, I'm still emotionally recovering from chopping 3 kilos of the stuff. So time to crank up the heat up to high and spoon in about 6 tablespoons of the sugar to start caramelising. Let that go for around 10 to 15 minutes, giving it a stir every now and then until the onions start to take on a lovely, rich golden colour, a bit like this. Now we're into the final mixing phase. We're going to add into it the rest of the sugar, 2 tablespoons of whole grain mustard, 6 garlic cloves, fresh from the garden, thank you very much. So this officially counts as homegrown. I think that's how this works. That glorious vinegar mix we made earlier, and one very important interruption.
That smells really good.
Cool, that's good to know. You'll be eating some later.
Yay. Someone's busting my cup.
I know, it's probably me daring to clean the kitchen up a little bit, ready to cook. Of course, a vital part of any cooking process. Oh, and we also need to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and half a teaspoon of crushed chilies for that little extra kick. Give it all a good mix, bring the heat down to medium to low, just enough for a gentle rolling bubbling, and then leave it to reduce for about an hour, stirring occasionally to stop it from sticking and burning. Although in my case here, looking at how liquidy this batch is, I reckon it will be more like an hour and a half. You may have to do the same with your batch, depending on how much moisture is still in your onions when you come to cooking them. However, this gives me plenty of time for the next thrilling chapter, which is washing up. Now, I might not be some expert canner or preservation guru, but I do a fair bit of home brewing, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: cleanliness matters. You can sanitize with all the chemicals or boiling water that you want, but if your jars don't start clean, then you're just giving bacteria places to hide, and they will take full advantage and ruin any brew or preserve you make. So as dull as it is, this is a really vital stage in anything that you do. Once the jars and the lids are washed and rinsed, I like to stack them in a big pot and cover with cold water. I prefer to bring it up to the boil gradually, that way the glass heats up gently and is less likely to crack from thermal shock. Now, I'm not going to water bathe this batch. For one, I'm using screw top jars in this case, which they're not really designed for it since they can't release the air pressure safely. And two, I'm going to be pouring boiling hot chutney into boiling hot sterilised jars, which is already a great defence. Between the high sugar content and the acidity from the vinegar, this stuff could kill super anthrax. It should be good for at least 6 months to a year, although knowing the kids, it won't last more than a week anyway. Back to the chutney, it's nearly there. You'll know it's ready when you can run a spoon across the bottom of the pan and it takes a good few seconds for the juices to flow back over and cover it. Now personally, I like to leave it slightly on the looser side. It tends to thicken up in the jar anyway when it's in the cupboard, plus if you go too far you'll end up with less chutney and it's much easier to accidentally burn it, and nobody wants burnt chutney. Now it's time to fill those sterilised jars. You can wait for them to cool a bit, makes handling them a little bit easier and safer, but I was in a hurry and I find working with everything hot helps keep things sterile anyway. If your jars do look a bit cloudy like mine, don't worry, that's just limescale from the hard water, it won't affect the chutney at all. Now it's just a case of ladling in the hot chutney into the jars. Simple, right? How did you do these last time?
Oh. Carefully. It's going to sit around the rim.
Okay, then we'll just clean off around the rim, yeah?
Yeah, just got to watch out for there.
You ready?
As we're over, maybe go a bit smaller with the portions.
Uh-oh.
Error.
Error.
Because we've lost all the liquid that goes with it.
Just go, I can spoon that in almost separate. What a lovely mess.
Yep.
I blame you for that one. So, pros, this one doesn't leak around the edges.
Cons.
You can't get it in.
That's what he said.
Well, we're still learning too. After all the effort and energy to boil that sterilisation water, I like to make the most out of it. First, I pop the jars back in to rinse off any sticky chutney residue, but most importantly, I use it to wash out the stock pot. Now, don't kid yourself with the old, oh, I'll just leave it to soak trick. Wash this straight away while it's still warm and easy. Otherwise, you're going to be facing a caramelised nightmare tomorrow, and trust me, this boiling water tip is golden. It makes it super easy to clean the pan. And there you have it, rich, sweet, sticky caramelised onion chutney, made by hand the simple way. Not everything has to be perfect, we're not aiming for MasterChef, we're just learning, improving and figuring it out one jar at a time. If you're on your own journey into self-reliance, preserving, or just figuring out how to do more with what you've got, you're in the right place. Leave a comment if you've got any tweaks or questions, and if you like this video, a thumbs up and a subscribe really helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep crafting independence one skill at a time.
Am I in shot?
Hmm?
Am I in shot?
The cup is, you're not.
That's what I mean.
I mean, if you wanted to be central, you'd be like here.
You'd be a nightmare. You're a nightmare.